Hi there. We're on our last competency in the Observing the System module of the Systems Coaching. And this competency is about the coach helping the system to identify and understand what the impacts of rank and privilege are to the system. And they assist them in determining how they're going to work with them. So in order to understand how to work with rank and privilege in your system, first we have to have an understanding of what those are. So I'm going to give you a few explanations or definitions. Let's start first with privilege. So privilege is the, state of having power because of just where you are. So every role has privilege. The Scrum Master role has privilege. Manager role has privilege. Developer role has privilege. In a family, children have privilege. Adults have privilege. So in any type of relationship, in any system, every role has some sort of a privilege that is associated with their role itself. Then there are other things that bring privilege. If we look at society as a system, so there are things in society that create privilege for others or for people. It may be that where you live, the neighborhood you live in, or the country you live in may have privilege associated with it. Your race could actually have privilege associated with it. In different countries, different races will have privilege associated with them. Your financial, monetary status, how much money you make, your family money, things like that, will have some privilege associated with it. There's gender privilege. Different genders have different privilege in different areas. So it's not that there is one gender that's privileged, it's that every gender has some privilege in some areas. Some seem to be more evident than others, but everyone has some sort of a privilege in some area. So there may be academic privilege because of what you know, because of what you've learned. You have privilege over others because you have knowledge they don't have, or intelligence maybe that is different than someone else's intelligence. Maybe you have skills, gifts, natural talents that give you privilege over someone else. So there's this concept of I have privilege because of who I am, because of where I am, because of just what I am. I have privilege in some areas. The concept of rank is that privilege that you have is being used either consciously or unconsciously in order to exert power over others. So as a manager, I have privilege in that, I'm in this manager role. I've got some authority. I can make decisions. And I can hire people, fire people, things like that. So I have some privilege, right? I have the power, the inherent power because of my role to make these decisions. Rank comes in when, as a manager, I am either consciously exerting my privilege and getting power over people. So now it's not just this inherent power, but I am using that power to benefit me and to lower someone else's ability. So I'm exerting force over them for my own benefit, for my own good. Now this rank can be used unconsciously. In fact, this is a big thing that happens in society is people don't recognize their privilege. They just do what they do because it's what they know and what they understand. And because they don't understand the concept of privilege, or that they do have privilege, they don't recognize that they are exerting their privilege over other people and therefore pulling rank. They're exercising power over those without privilege. And now that is creating a disruption of levels. So we've got the person with some privilege being risen up, where the person without privilege is being lowered. And now I've got power over you, or I am getting things, access to things, ability to do things. I'm getting privileges. So maybe as a senior person who's been with the company for 20 years, I've got some privilege because I've been here longer. I've got seniority. And maybe there's a newer person who's only been here for a few months, and they haven't developed seniority, they haven't developed trust, they haven't proven themselves yet. And as a senior person, I have privilege, so people trust me, and so I just kind of show up for work whenever. I know it's going to be okay because they're not going to discipline me. So I show up at 9, 10, 11 o'clock, I stay late, I come in early, I've got plenty of sick time, so I just call off whenever, and I'm just doing what I do because I have the privilege to do that. But I'm on a team with other people who everyone doesn't have that same privilege because everyone doesn't have that rank. They don't have that seniority. And that's fine. If you're the person who's privileged, that's totally fine because you have that privilege. However, what's happening is because you're exerting that privilege and these other people don't have that privilege, now there's conflict. So your rank is giving you an edge over them. So what often happens in this case, we've got this person exerting their privilege, they're getting an edge over others, so now that's placing them underneath. What happens to the people who are the people who are under the rank, the power is being exerted over them. This person's getting benefits they're not getting, and it's making them feel like they're losing out, or they're being mistreated or marginalized, or they're not getting benefits that they feel are entitled to them, but these other people just get them. What happens is the people who are being marginalized actually seek revenge. And revenge shows up as a way of leveling the playing field. So you've got this privilege, you're doing your stuff, you're just going on, you don't even recognize that there's a problem. I feel marginalized, so then I start to exercise revenge in order to level that playing field so I can feel like I've got some power too. So maybe I am hiding problems from you and not telling you things, or I'm hiding knowledge from you so that you might get knocked down a peg or two when things go wrong, and then you won't have the privilege of coming in whenever you feel like it, because people are going to start to look at you like, wait, you're not doing your job. So there's this revenge aspect that starts to come in. So that's how rank and privilege work. And now let's kind of bring it into a really serious conversation about Agile coaches. So something I see often happening with Agile coaches is you don't recognize that as a matter of, I'm an Agile coach in an organization. With that actually comes some privilege that you may not be recognizing you have. Maybe I'm a consultant and that brings me privilege. It's the knowledge that I have, the experience that I have. It's the confidence that I have. It's the people look to me for answers. Management might be looking at me as the expert. So I walk in the door and I've got a level of privilege. I also might have an agenda that says, hey, I've been given a commission to bring this place agile. So now I've got some privilege there because I have the backing to make things agile. So if I begin exerting my privilege by just doing what I do. Hey, we've got to change things. You can't be doing that anymore. You've got to do this. And I start doing things like telling managers, you need to empower your team. You shouldn't be telling them what to do. And I start telling people what they need to change, which that's what an agile coach might do, right? So it sounds normal. You're just doing what you do. You're taking that privilege and you're using it to do your job. However, what's happening often that you don't realize is that you're exercising your privilege without recognizing that others don't have that privilege, or you are creating a rank situation where you're exerting authority over people who are feeling like you're shoving them down in order to get over them, and you're forcing them into a place they don't want to be, or to do things that they don't feel like they should have to do. And on top of that, if you've come in from out of nowhere, now you've got this person who's coming in, exerting rank above me. My job, it might be at stake. I don't want to do this. Who are you to tell me what to do? And now we're creating a situation where revenge is going to happen. And this is where resistance comes in. So just a thought about creating your own problems as an agile coach. So when working with teams, it's really important to be able to see these dynamics at play and recognize how rank, how privilege plays a role. This often happens. This is why we ask managers not to come to retrospectives, because their privilege creates rank, and teams might not be completely honest and open because that manager might pull rank on them and decide to punish a behavior they heard. So they can use that rank to impact performance reviews. So it becomes a matter of self-protection or even revenge, where people say, well, we're just not going to do anything. We're not going to talk about it. You can come. We'll let you come because we don't feel like we have a choice, but we're not going to be open and honest because we can't. So we're going to level the playing field by not being open and honest with one another. If your product owner keeps pulling rank over your team, I've actually seen teams where they have one stand-up for the product owner and one stand-up that's the real stand-up. So in order to level the playing field, they had a stand-up that made the product owner happy, and they told them whatever they wanted to hear. And then after the product owner left, they'd do their own thing. And then they would really discuss what problems and issues and risks and all those things were there. Because then the product owner was gone and they could be honest. So recognizing what are the dynamics with rank and privilege and how they impact the way your team operates. And especially recognizing when you see resistance. If you hear yourself as an agile coach saying, oh, they're a resistor, there's resistance there, this is a resistant group. First, before blaming them for being a resistor, take a look at yourself and see if you are actually creating a rank situation that is forcing them to be in revenge, which is showing up as resistance.